항소심 따위는 필요 없어. 내 재판은 언제나 정확하니까. 지금부터 진짜 재판을 시작할게.
What's up, everybody? So, I don't know if it was because I watched that Korean movie, The Witch, or if, Disney Plus was just trying to show me something else. But I was on Disney Plus, I think, after I watched Wonder Man when that came out, and I saw the show under, like, the, Korean genre called The Judge from Hell. Now, I don't like real TV shows, like dramas and stuff like that. Like, I need some fantasy or sci-fi or whatever. So I saw this and I was like, okay, this looks interesting. Let me click on it. And it said, a judge gets possessed by a demon, shenanigans ensues. That's not what it said, but the basic idea. And so I watched the trailer, and what it seemed like was that this judge gets possessed by a demon, and instead of the demon messing with her court cases, it seemed like the demon wanted to, like, almost be like a serial killer. Like, oh, I have all these criminals now I can kill. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. That sounds awesome. So I decided to watch the first episode, and it is and isn't what I thought it was going to be. So we're going to start off spoiler free. If you want spoilers, you can skip ahead. So spoiler free. So the show is not what I thought it was. What the show actually is basically this judge dies and she gets sent to, like, hell court. And this is where they send you to, like, fake hell or real hell. It's very confusing. And she's not on the list, and the hell judge is like, well, whatever, I got quotas to fill, and just, like, sends her to hell. Her boss, the leader of hell, named Ball, I think, or Bale. I think I'm just gonna call him Ball. Ball comes in, he's like, yo, what the hell? Like, you weren't supposed to send her to real hell. You're cooked. And so he's like, to kind of repent for what you did, I'm going to send you to Earth, and you're gonna take over her body, and you have 1 year to kill 10 criminals that don't care for what they did, and that is your sentence, or else I'm gonna kill you. And she's like, whatever, I'm not gonna do it. And then he tries to kill her, and she's like, okay, I'll do it. And that is what the show is. The show is her being trapped in this mortal shell, trying to find 10 people worth killing so that she can go back to being hell judge. So I mean, not what I expected. Still an interesting premise. What I will say about the show is that I think she is the most interesting part of the entire thing, which is great because she's the main character. She is giving this chaotic good energy. I think of, like, the line on I see it online or something like that. It's like, chaotic good might save your life, might steal your wife type energy. So you never really know what she's trying to do. And again, on Earth, she is a judge, but she's also a demon. So sometimes she's saying and doing stuff that people are just like, what the hell?
우리 친구들 아줌마 따라해볼까? 네! 정의는? 죽었다. 정의는? 개나 줘라.
And then she's very, like, girly, but then she's, like, drinking soda in the middle of the court case. Like, she's just very, like, all over the place. You never know what she's going to do, but you know that she needs to get this done because she does not want to be on Earth. She wants to be back in hell, or wherever that middle space is. The problem I have with the show is that it's not clear what her powers are, because sometimes she can do, like, some magical stuff, and it's like, well, like, what can't you do? Because I thought you were a human, but you kind of have power still, so it's like, where's the limit at? It just throws you into stuff, like, again, hell and fake hell, and so it's just like, sometimes it's throwing terms and stuff, and it's just like, I don't know if I'm supposed to know what any of this means. There doesn't really seem to be any sort of explanation. When you kind of see where she's at once she's, like, put on Earth, there's, like, this kind of they like start her off like kind of explaining her situation to other humans, and it's like, wait, but how did we get here? And what is this? Like, why are we doing this again? And maybe I just missed that part. So like the show's super fun, and again, she's fun to watch, but it is on the supernatural side confusing about like what's really going on, what are the rules. You think about killing 10 people that don't care about like the crimes that they committed, and I'm like, I feel like that's pretty easy. So it's just kind of like, well, how do you stretch this out into a series? It's not too clear. What I will say on the positive is like, if you like an anime aesthetic, this feels like there's like shots. I'll put it in here, but there's like a shot every time they go to the court where like the camera like kind of kind of like spins into the building itself, and kind of has this like they're just like moments that feel very anime. Even the CG, which isn't too good looking, but it's not bad either. It's very stylized and it feels very anime. There were a couple shots towards the end that was just like, oof, that's a little rough. But for the most part, I think it has style. That being said, again, she's talking about criminals. This episode starts off with an abuse case, and they show the abuse. Like, this isn't American TV. This is, they were showing it. Like, this it's like physical abuse. Like, she's getting beat. And I found it more entertaining because, like, I feel like American TV is like, oh, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. But, like, this was, like, hard to watch. But, like, I think it worked because it made you hate the guy who's doing the crime so much that it was like, yeah, I kind of want her to kill him because, like, fuck that guy. And it just, like, I think it just showcases, like, hey, like, shitty things happen, and it's not like this, like, cookie cutter, like, Disney, like, I feel like American TV would be like, oh, she got beat, and then have, like, she has, like, one black eye, where this was, like, I was like, fuck, like, I didn't even know you could put this here, type of representation of, like, what some people go through. And I just felt like it just felt more of like a show treating me like an adult. You know what I'm saying? So even though it was hard to watch, I was like, oh, I'm glad that this is actually being shown in, like, representing the trouble that people go through, but also having, like, giving us a reason to hate the person and just not being gentle with it. Like, if you're gonna show me something. And so yeah, I feel like the weakest parts of this episode are, again, just kind of like what like, how is she limited, and how is she going to get through killing these 10 people? And then they tried to set up something towards the end of the episode, and then it just kind of ends abruptly, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess that episode's over. But it didn't leave me in a space where I was like, oh, snap, and then, like, start the next one. I was just kind of like, that was a weird place to put that. The last thing I'll say before I get into spoilers is that this is clearly a show that was on TV. So there's a lot of moments where it, like, fades to black, where it would be like a commercial and then it fades back in. It's very weird. I wish it would just, like, kind of like hard cuts instead of like a... And we're back. You know what I'm saying? So just, like, if you're gonna check this out, just be aware of that. There is maybe I didn't check, but I don't think there is English dub. So if you're watching this, you have to read subtitles. So yeah, if you're not a subtitle person, this is not for you. But yeah, I want to get into spoilers because I do have some things to say about this show. So if you don't want to be spoiled, or if you don't want to be spoiled, this is your time to go. Appreciate you. Don't forget to subscribe. If you're going to stay, I'm going to get into spoilers. Unless you don't care, you know what I'm saying, then you're just along for a ride. But yeah, get ready in 3, 2. All right. So like I was saying, it's unclear what her powers are, because, like, she can, like, glow her eyes, and she's, like, telling people that she's a demon when she's, like, talking to the council of psychologists, which, again, maybe I miss what the whole point of why she was even there for. I guess it was post her getting attacked. It was just kind of like to check in on her, but I don't see the vision of her just being like, yeah, I'm a demon, yada 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 yada, because you know, she wants to get back to her job in hell, or middle hell, whatever you want to call it. And so it's like, why would you make things harder for you? I don't know. It's just so unclear. But yeah, so she can do the mirror thing, right? And then when she's talking to the girl in the church, she's like, oh, like church, like oh, it kind of like hurts my eyes or whatever. But then she talks to her and she like does like a voice thing to like, you know, tell me how you really feel or something like that. And so I was like, what are you allowed and not allowed to do? And then when she lets the dude go on bail, I was like, oh, then she's gonna sneak and find him, and then she's gonna murder him, like, you know, one out the way. But then it shows that montage of her waiting 2 weeks, and she's like, oh, like, he's not doing anything. And so it's like, so do you have to wait for the person to truly be evil? You have to wait for them to do their next crime to be like, so they don't care, and now I can kill them. Also, we don't see her kill him. Like, we get the like lead up to it, you know, she summons the knife, looks at him, and then they do this weird like anime, like, here's the close-up of the knife, and here's her face, and she's gonna murder him, and then we don't see it. And so I was like, okay, I was waiting for like the news broadcast or something to be like, and we found, you know, Moon's body and yada yada yada. And so I was like, okay, what are we doing here? And what was the other thing I already forgot. Hold on, let me try to find it. The other thing was like, this guy was so good at being evil, right? When he's like smiling and he's like, yeah, you know, next time I'm gonna kill your dad, and like he just says that like evil smile, like, I can't wait to see you again, I love you. And I'm like, oh well, how many, because she got to kill 10. How many like good, you know, scenarios could you really come up with for me to feel bad about, not feel bad, but like for me to be against these criminals to the point of like, yeah, I want them to go. Because, you know, I feel like having this guy who's clearly abusive, again, because they're actually willing to show it, and have him like smile and just be like, yeah, like I love that I did it, I'll do it again. It's just like, well, you know, what if episode 2 is just like some sort of like some sort of thief who just like, you know, steals from like cash registers? Like, I'm like, oh, I don't mean, do we gotta kill him? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I feel like now you've already set, like, the first one was so good that you gotta make sure that the other 9 are just as bad, or if not badder, so that I actually care and want them to go. And I'm just like, I feel like you kind of swung too high on the first one, so I feel like that could be a problem. But yeah, I loved her character. She's again, with her like drinking the soda and telling the kids like, justice is dead, sing it with me kids, and they're like, yeah. From her saying, like, she has all these little like, she forgets, and she'll just like, you know, say the thing of like, ew, you want me to feel bad for you crying?
피고인 뚝 하세요, 뚝. 뚝!
재반장님, 피고인은 불우한 환경에서 성장한
I think having her right off the bat being like this, oh, you want me to arrest this cop because clearly like your father's friends with, you know, the other person's mom, like you're already messing with the court as it is. It's like, okay, cool. But she's also like drinking a soda and, you know, making little jokes and stuff. So again, she's like all over the place. I kind of like it. I don't like the Boy Scout, but again, I'm not a Boy Scout person. Like, you know what I'm saying? When it comes to like Captain America's and Superman's, so I'm like, goody two shoes, get him out of here. But I get that he's supposed to be like the, you know, antithesis of her character. And clearly, like, he's already seeing, like, yo, something's weird with her, but I'm also kind of, like, here for the vibes, too. So, I there's a lot to like about the show. But again, I think it's just, they might have swung too high with that first criminal. I think that it's not clear what her rules are on how she has to get these kills, and it's like, are we gonna drag these out? Like, I don't know. We got to the end and we get to the real judge, and she's like in fake hell, I think. And she's like being attacked, and then she gets saved by the door that's supposed to open. I'm like, this is cool on a supernatural level, but I haven't spent any time with the judge. And when you meet I don't know if they're her bosses or whatever, but they seemed like, oh, she's like a complete 180 of who she used to be, which means that she is the real judge who's trapped in fake hell is probably more of like a, strict goody two shoes type. And it's like, well, we already got the one guy. Am I supposed to care about her too? I think the only reason I really care is because she's clearly been sent to a place that she just doesn't belong. So it's like, I guess that's an interesting journey, but we haven't spent time with her for me to care. So it's like, all right, I guess we'll do that part too. But her parts were like when she's like falling up or whatever, like that part looked weird. When she's like looking out the mirror, I was like, oh, this is where the CG isn't CGing, right? But yeah, I feel like overall, it was interesting. I could see myself checking out the next episode, but I'm not like, yeah, I gotta watch another one, which is sad because I feel like just the premise and so much of this first episode is like, okay, I can kind of peep the vision, you know what I'm saying? But I wish it grabbed me more. But again, I'm not someone to cut off a show just because the first episode isn't like amazing, because sometimes you just gotta, you gotta figure it out. You gotta like find the groove and get on in there. And I want to watch 15 seasons of Supernatural, you know what I'm saying? And the first couple aren't exactly a hit, or at least the first couple episodes. So yeah, maybe I'll check this out with my free time and see if this show picks up. It came out in 2024, and it only got one season. I don't know how long production is in Korea, but it's unclear whether this is going to get more seasons, so maybe not a rush to get through it all. I will say that I don't know. Hold on, wait. What was I gonna say? I don't remember what I was gonna say. What was I talking about? I don't know. I forgot what I was gonna say, everybody. So I guess I'll just leave it here. Let me know if you've seen the show or if you plan on checking it out, and what you think down in the comments below. If there is another season, let me know. I forgot to do my research as of watching this episode. Maybe this season finale just crashes and fails or whatever. Or if you know more Korean shows that are like this, give me some suggestiones. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Don't forget to subscribe. Peace.